It is day 7 cooking out of Make It Fancy. And today we're gonna make scallops, celery root, and apple with a brown butter emulsion. Look how gorgeous that plate is. Wow, incredible.
Wow, really flex on them.
We're gonna make the vinaigrette first. Oh, interesting. They changed my measurements.
What do you mean?
I originally had this all just grammed out because it was faster.
I was gonna ask how that happened because I assume that they put pressure on you to do it.
Here's what happened, is I wrote the book proposal. Everything was by weight. And they were like, well, your audience is in the United States, so can you do it in imperial? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So when I started working on the actual book, I put everything in imperial. And then they were like, hey, actually, like 2 months into it, they're like, hey, actually, can you put both? And I was like, okay, like you're having me like take imperial, it like recipes were, it was like the stupid shit. It was
Right.
1 tablespoon plus 2 teaspoons. What are you gonna do? How do you measure 1/4 cup of loose leaf parsley?
1/4 large bunch. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just gonna get a couple bunches and hope that's enough for a large.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like 20 grams, 15 grams, 15 grams, 15 grams.
That would be a really helpful metric. Publishers.
It's kind of unfortunate. It's like once you actually write it and you hand it off to their editor, like there's nothing you can do.
It's out of your hands.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. You don't even see it until it's being printed. So if there was anything that you wanted to change, it's like you're shit out of luck.
How would you come up with the dry milk powder thing? Is that something from restaurants or is that just
That is from restaurants. So it's actually kind of a cool story. I learned it from my sous chef, Shay. And he learned it at L2O in Chicago when Laurent Gras was there. And the reason it's kind of a cool story is because I learned it from him, who learned it from Laurent Gras, and then I went to eat at Saison right after Laurent Gras took over, and then I met him, and I mentioned it. So it was just kind of like a full circle moment. But yeah, that came from restaurants. As soon as he showed me that, because he used it in a similar recipe, it was just milk powder.
like it's like 4 times the milk solids?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I do pretty much like a really similar recipe where I brown the milk powder and I make like a vinaigrette for salads. But like you can follow that exact recipe almost with an oil. And then the browned milk powder, and then just take out the lemon peels because it'll thicken it up.
So when did the decision to make a cookbook come around? Like, did they approach you? Did
They
you approach
approached me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think there was a period where all the publishers, after the COVID boom, were trying to scoop up all the creators.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at around my publication date, like every single creator like wrote a cookbook. So yeah, they approached me, and then I wrote like an abbreviated proposal. It seemed like they just really wanted to get something out.
Did they give you like a spec to follow? Like most of them are like around 100 recipes. Yours is a little bit shorter.
Mine was only 75 recipes. They give you the, the contract obviously and everything, and it gives you all like the details and the rules that you have to follow, like your deliverables, what you're responsible for in the book, and then when the book comes out and stuff like that. So yeah, I was contracted to 75 recipes, and then details about like how many photos you need to provide, because all that comes out of your budget.
You're right.
And then, yeah, that's pretty much it.
And my understanding is you did this with actually a pretty small staff relative to, like a small team relative to like a lot of books. Like,
Oh yeah. It was just me and then the 2 photographers, and I did the cooking and food styling, and then they did the photography and props. So it was literally just 3 of us. And I went to my friend's cookbook photo shoot, and there was like 12 people in that room doing the shoot. And I was like, man, I feel like we really did it on a budget there.
yeah.
This is perfect, this nice peanut butter color.
Do you want to show the good people at home?
Can I show it on camera without spilling it?
That's the skill, isn't it? Like half the time.
Yeah.
All it takes is, can you show this without spilling it? And I have spilled it. And I've thrown things at the camera. Do you have any like catastrophic things that happened during filming before?
Yeah, just like 2 weeks ago, I was making agnolotti. I had the filling in the piping bag, and the piping bag exploded. And it went all over my camera, it went all over me, it went all over the counter. I still have the footage, actually. I'll probably post it one day. But nice peanut butter color.
That looks beautiful.
It does.
I do love how much you use a saute pan.
Yeah.
My question was always, are you using saute pan to mean like what I historically think of as a saute pan, which is like a fry pan or a skillet or something like that? Or are you talking about the straight-sided?
I'm straight-sided.
Okay.
Like when I say saute pan, I mean like saute pan.
Cool.
Yeah.
But it's like a relatively new term, interestingly. So.
Really, I always thought it was just like a misconception. Like people think a fry pan is a saute pan, and vice versa.
So it is. That is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is a different thing, but it got marketed as a saute pan, and so like the marketing changed around them.
Yeah.
But since I knew you had like a French background to some degree, I was like, you might be thinking of like a skillet. Like I'm not sure
Yeah.
what to expect here.
Cool. We got everything.
I think so. I think we're at a waiting point.
What cooler room temp?
Cool to room temp. We could ice bath it.
I mean, once you add the lemon juice, it's gonna drop in temperature.
Oh, cool. It's just what it says is cool to room temp, and then
Yeah.
juice enough lemons, and then
The reason it says cool all the way is because home cooks will take this when it's ripping hot, pour lemon juice into it.
and
Yeah, and it would like fry and it would boil over.
got it.
And then also it would burn the brown butter because the steam will just darken it.
Huh.
Yeah,
Never thought of that.
I've done that in a restaurant before. That's how I know. But if you just
Yeah, it's not exactly that hot now.
yeah.
So a lot of these dishes, one of the things that stands out to me about feeling kind of restaurant-y is the smallest amounts are like really small. Like it feels like it's part of a larger recipe. Does that make sense? Like 3 hazelnuts or like half of a green apple. Things like that like stand out to me as like, oh, this was meant to be a bigger thing.
Yeah. We were trying to figure out like how many people is this recipe supposed to feed? And like my recipes are not meant to feed like 12 people.
Right.
You know, they're meant to be for like
Most of them seem to be like 2 to 4.
yeah, 3 to 4 around that. So it was like I'm not gonna have people dice, you know, just like
Yeah.
an absurd amount of apples, and you're only gonna use like a little bit of it.
Right.
It's just always like what we were talking about. You're like tiptoeing. It's like a fine line between like too restaurant-y and like too homey, and like where do you find the balance?
Portion size is an interesting place to do it.
Portioning is an interesting place to do it because if you make it too hard, like if there are too many steps, and then it requires a lot of ingredients, and then you have like a bunch of this left over, that isn't gonna be like necessarily good the next day.
Right.
Gonna leave like a bad taste in your mouth. This is supposed to be more of like an intimate setting, like you're making this for 2-3 people, like a girlfriend, anniversary,
No new friends.
no new friends. Or even then, if you want to do like a supper club or something like that, and you want to like use one of the recipes, you can easily figure out how to scale it up and down.
I'll get the acidulated water going for you. You just want a few tablespoons? Okay. So the note is about the lemon juice or ascorbic acid. That's the note that's missing. I have both. I'm just curious like what the note was going to say.
The note was probably going to be that ascorbic acid is available next to the baking supplies or something like
Got
that.
it. The one thing I
not
hate
the
about
gloves.
these. I'm not trying to put Sad Papi on my insurance, man.
Yeah.
On that note, this is one of the things I keep thinking about. Is like, it's hard for me to remember that your name is Brandon sometimes.
Yes.
Do you think about yourself as Sad Papi, or is Sad Papi a different entity, or like?
I mean, I guess I think of myself, it's kind of just like my moniker at this point. The name came from my friends, and it was them actually kind of just like making fun of me, because I had like this surgery, and I lost a bunch of weight, and I was like really depressed, and my friend was just like, now you're just like a Sad Papi, and I thought it was hilarious, so I just changed my username, and then it stuck. But people always trip out. They're like, I didn't know your name was Brandon until just now. Do you have like a little strainer?
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Tons of them. What do you want?
I'll just take a baby one.
Baby one? Fine or coarse?
A fine one.
So my viewpoint on this whole like interviewee thing is the magic of a lot of food channels over time have been like seeing personalities bounce off of each other.
Yeah.
So if we're just hanging out and cooking with each other, that's going to perform well. And then if we can get some like a few good interview questions interspersed, like talking about the story of this stuff that didn't quite make it into the book, that kind of thing, people will love it.
I agree with you. Speaking of things that didn't make it into the book, I wanted to do like a lot more offcuts and a lot more like awful and stuff like that. Like I wanted to do a chicken liver mousse. I wanted to do sweetbreads.
Very restauranty of you.
Yeah, I wanted to do like duck hearts, like grilled.
Dude, I love duck heart so much.
Yeah, they're good, right?
I think heart in general is like the most underrated meat.
Yeah, I wanted to do like a beef heart tartare, but you know the publisher was not really vibing with it.
Yeah.
Because they're like, trust me, it sounds delicious, but where are people gonna find this shit?
Right.
And I was like, you know what, fair enough.
It's genuinely challenging. Like, I'll give them that. But it is also going to be one of those things where, like, you can make it happen if you want to.
You absolutely could, yeah. There's this place, Rule of Thirds in Brooklyn, and they have really good duck hearts. Yakitori duck hearts on the menu. You have a sizzle?
A scissor?
A sizzle? Sizzle plate? Tray? Sizzle tray?
Like that?
Yeah. Like
yeah. I have a million of them. I didn't know that term.
A sizzle?
Yep. Like I said, it's been a long time since I worked in kitchens.
Do you ever use tuna paper?
What do you mean by tuna paper?
It's it looks like a paper towel, but the fibers are a little bit nicer and like meshed together a little bit more. They're for wrapping fish. Really convenient. But you can order them and they come in like a big ass roll or a box. Great for seafood. Wrap it up so it doesn't oxidize and stuff like that.
It doesn't feel like any of the stuff I did throughout the whole book was hard. Like nothing was like challenging.
Oh yeah, it was by design that way. You know, and it's funny that you say that. I mean, because I don't necessarily think anything is challenging in that book, but I kept doing interviews. And you know, the person at Eater or the person at Mashed or the person at whatever would be like, there's so many advanced techniques in this book. And I'd be like, I don't really see it.
Yeah.
Maybe for just like someone who doesn't cook at all, like yeah, making bordelaise is probably a stretch, but everything is very, very by design, straightforward and like easy to follow. Like I don't think there's anything completely over the top there.
Actually, the bordelaise is a funny one to mention. Like we did this for the steak with the bone marrow and the potatoes and everything, which was like, we don't really like steak and potatoes. That was phenomenal. It was really good. I just rewatched the footage because I was like, remember the things that like actually went well, like what happened and like was enjoyable and like how did you actually feel about it at the time for everything? And we're like, we don't really go in for steak and potatoes, but this is like the one.
Yeah.
And like it's all it took me like an hour to do the whole thing minus the bordelaise. I was like, if you just have a day to prep ahead, easy.
Yeah, that's what I told people. They're like, oh, how would you help, you know, like a home cook get prepared to make these advanced techniques? And that's actually what I said. I was like, you know what, just like make it work for you. And I use the steak as an example. I was like, you know, the bordelaise, you know, make that a couple days in advance, like break it up, you know, so it doesn't feel like such a heavy lift, because then on the next day, all you have to do is cook your bone marrow, cook your steak, and throw it together.
So like it felt very fancy, but not challenging at all.
Yeah, I didn't want to overwhelm anyone with any of the recipes. But back to your original questions, things absolutely did get pulled from the proposal. You know, like the offal and the offcuts and stuff, and then there were little dabbles into not like molecular gastronomy or anything like that, but things like using carrageenan, because I wanted to do this mushroom tart, and you make like a mushroom cream and then you add a little bit of carrageenan and then you pour it into the tart shell and then it sets into like a nice solid foam, so it's like you'll bite into it but then it like melts in your mouth. And then it was supposed to get like a grilled mushroom salad on top of it, and it's like that, you know, we had to make like a little sacrifice for something like that. But yeah, you know, just like stuff like that. Like obviously there's no agar or like anything like that. I think, you know, making the preserved lemon gel by just using the pectin is like the closest we got to that realm.
Got it. Which agar would be much easier, I think. But
yeah.
I didn't look at the recipe for it. So
the recipe is like you just take the preserved lemons and then take the seeds out and then put it in a pot with water and sugar. Bring it to a boil to get it to that pectin activation temperature, and then just blend the fuck out of it.
Got it. So I was thinking like at least the telephone agar you can do at room temp, and so like you just blitz it and call it a day.
No, yeah, I mean with that recipe, it's like you're literally just blending it until it glosses up and thickens up all on its own. So it is really straightforward. But yeah, we had to make some compromises because the way that it was framed is like there's always the next book to do more interesting things.
Which begs the question: are you thinking about another book already, or like what do you?
Yeah, because I approached this one with making it, more for like home cooks and approachability and stuff like that. But all those other recipes I wanted to throw in there are still up there. I have a whole notebook at home of like recipes that I come up with that I know no one is gonna make.
Yeah.
And that didn't get included in the book. And I definitely want to put those out there. I want to do more of like a proper restaurant style cookbook because that's my entire background.
The idea of a restaurant style cookbook without the restaurant is very appealing. Like that's a hilarious goof.
Like I'm trying to like frame it as like imagine, you're a home cook that does like a supper club.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would be a good reference. You know what I mean? It's something like that.
That would be super fun.
Yeah, because like everything would still be formatted to make out of your home kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing I was most worried about going into this book before it even arrived was like the first score we usually give is accessibility. And it's like, I know there's going to be like finger limes in there. I know like some of these ingredients are going to be really hard to find. But then the process was all so easy. And like most of it has exposition about where to get things or like how to accomplish this, like why you're doing things. It does feel like it takes something that could be intimidating and makes it just very straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been my whole approach with the book and like the videos. Mm-hmm. I want to not dumb down, but make all of it more accessible. Like I'm filming the videos out of my home kitchen. I want it to feel like anyone can do it. Mm-hmm. So that's the same vibe
You're
as
Ratatouille.
The book. Ratatouille. Anyone can cook. It's funny, that the Make It Fancy, that wasn't even supposed to be the title.
What was it going to be?
It was supposed to be Don't Call Me Chef.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. The publisher didn't like it. Or they liked it, but they said it sounds more like an autobiography. They pushed back on some pretty strange things. That's one thing that I realized. I thought it was going to be pretty like straightforward, one and done, but there was some back and forth. And it was never like bad. It wasn't a bad experience at any point. But it was definitely like compromises like on both sides to like get the project done. But yeah, I wanted it to be called Don't Call Me Chef. And the idea behind it is like the word just gets thrown around all the time now. So I don't consider myself a chef. I'm just like a dude in his kitchen making videos at this point. And that's just kind of like what I wanted to say on the title. I don't know.
Personally, like that makes a ton of sense to me, but also like I have so many issues with like chef culture and the glorification of it.
Yes.
Like it just doesn't make sense. Like this is not, or like people being like, I'm a chef of 25 years. You should trust my judgment on fucking anything. Is like
you could still be a dumbass.
Right. I know so many untrustworthy chefs. Like absolutely not.
Yeah.
Or people like, I've been a chef 25 years. Ignore this video. Focus on this one knife that I used. Like, who cares? It's a different use case.
Yeah, but I think the reason I also wanted to be like, don't call me chef is like if, like I come from the restaurant industry and like a chef to me is just like a job title, a very specific job title. It's like you do the orders, you
do the costing,
you do the food costing, you do the payroll, you manage people, you do food sometimes. Like, I think people don't realize that a chef is actually not in the kitchen, like, that much. Mm-hmm. You're more of a manager at that point. So, like, the glorification of, like, chef and, like, everyone throwing chef blah in their username. I mean, it's just kind of like, what do you manage? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get out of bed in the morning and you start filming videos.
We chef, let's go.
Yeah. But I think it's very strange and very bizarre.
But, like, the weird thing to me is that there's status associated with it, which should only be in that specific little thing.
But it's like if I put a Band-Aid on you, like I'm not a doctor. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it's kind of like making the same comparison. It's like okay, you post cooking videos. Like there's nothing wrong with being a creator. There's actually nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great job title. It's okay to be that. Like it doesn't make you a chef though. What's your cooking oil?
Cooking oil.
What do you cook with?
This is rice bran oil.
Rice bran.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
I learned about it from Nopalito in San Francisco. It's just like a really high heat, really neutral oil that doesn't have that fishiness that a lot of them
Like
give.
canola.
Yeah. And avocado oil just like never quite tasted right to me either.
Yeah, it tastes like dirty oil to me.
Yeah.
And the price point. That's kind of like why I like sunflower oil.
I
'Cause
got sunflower oil just for you.
it's like the most neutral to me.
Should we do a side-by-side taste test?
It taste test for oil.
It's fun to see all the little differences between the way you and I cook, but like the overarching similarities are definitely there.
I cook like a fucking weirdo sometimes. Like years of working in an open kitchen, it drilled things into me that I don't need to do anymore. Like I have the Comey pans, just so I can like pick it up and bring it with me. Like I would probably throw it up here and
Yeah. How do you do your like spices and condiments and stuff? Out of curiosity.
How do I organize them?
Yeah.
I keep the ones I use the most in these small bamboo lid glass jars, like next to my cooking station. And then I have the bigger backups, like to refill, like in cabinets.
Got it.
So that's just the way that I work in general. I bring whatever I use the most, like closest to me.
Right. Was puffed beef tendon a hard thing to get in the book?
Yes.
What was the hardest thing that still made it in?
I think that, because it's like such a small, tiny little thing that like takes like quite a bit of effort, like pressure cooking, freezing, slicing, dehydrating, frying. It is a lot of steps for just like a cracker, you know. But that was actually supposed to be just one component. I was supposed to put that on top of the beef dish.
Where do the ideas for a lot of these come from? Are they from like your time in restaurants? Are they related to specific dishes you've done before?
Definitely related to specific dishes I've done before. Like the beet salad from the book is literally just like a direct transplant of the first dish I ever got on a menu. Like exact same recipe, so that is something that came from restaurants. And then a lot of the other stuff is just like amalgamations of techniques from restaurants combined with things that I really like the gnocchi. You know, I really like the spicy pomodoro. And then the triple blanch garlic and then frying it to mellow it out. That's something from restaurants. So it's really just like a mishmash.
Is there a specific inspo on this dish?
It's really just my winter set, my winter scallop set, you know? Nice warm flavors to go with sweet scallops. Brown butter and hazelnuts, fucking classic.
This is the biggest thing I struggled with all week was plating. I'm just not good at it.
Me neither. I just wing it. I love that you have these ramekins. I use those to shape my pot pie lids and stuff. Like if you bake the pie separately. Beautiful.
It's a gorgeous plate.
Gorgeous.
What are you getting?
Scallop.
There's a lot of scallop in there, yeah. The apple is really nice. Like I love the malic acid lemon combo.
Malic acid is a fun ingredient on its own.
Yes. I feel like if there's one like kind of molecular gastronomy ingredient that I would like pitch people, it's acid powders.
I mean, everything on here is kind of just like a play on classics. So you have celery and apple. You have apple brown butter. You have hazelnut brown butter. And then you have the fiend herb and seafood. So everything is just kind of like a play on each other.
It's like a portmanteau, right? Like when you combine words that just work together.
Yeah.
It's just like that culinarily. The brown butter emulsion is like the brownest butter.
It is.
That kicks ass.
I love that technique. You can apply that to so many different things too.
Having it be balanced out by so much citrus afterward.
Yeah. That's the catch. Lots of fat, lots of warm flavors, needs lots of acid.
But even the like pith flavor,
Mhm.
right from the peel, like it tastes distinctly of like you can tell the difference between lemon juice and lemon a lot of times in
Yeah.
a finished dish, right? So, like knowing that's there and it's not like a little zest of it, it's like a big chunk. I get a lot of orange. I get a lot of lemon
Yeah.
in the end. It's so weird doing this to your face.
I'm not putting you on the spot, am I?
I asked for it.
You did. I was like, you asked.
I know.
You know?
I'll go get her. Put her on the spot now.
Yeah, put her on the spot.
It's overcooked. I have no idea.
Olive.
Ooh. This is divine.
Divine. See, he wasn't giving me anything, so I was trying to read him.
Oh,
And I was just
it's
like
buttery
I was just kind of like sitting here staring at him, and I was like,
lemon.
lots of lemon. I think like 50% of the dish is lemon.
Is this garlic? What is this?
Celery root and apples.
Celery root. I haven't had a lot of celery root like raw.
That's what you said. Yeah,
lying.
it's great raw. You just gotta make sure you cut it nice and small and thin, because
It hasn't been chew even this
That's
small.
tasty.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Bonito.
No.
brown butter,
What's
With-
the flaky?
hazelnuts.
Hazelnuts. I like that a lot.
Good. Someone like that.
That's tasty. Can I have more?
Go for it.
Yeah, that's why.
Hard smash.
Hard smash.
Is there a question that nobody has asked you about the book that you wish someone would ask you? Or about
Turn
the
it around
experience?
on him.
And make me make the interview, why don't you? No, not really.
Or a question that you wish you would get asked more often?
How are you doing?
How
How
are
are you doing?
I'm doing very well
How's
today.
it
Thank
going
you.
with sales and everything and promoting it and
It's been good. I'm just gonna do a lot more pop-up dinners
nice.
to keep the promotion going. It's gonna be kind of like a slow burn since I didn't do the book tour.
Yeah.
So I'm planning one right now with Redbird, and then after that, I think the next pop-ups might be in New York. So here's to that. Have you guys been to Cassia?
Not yet, no.
Oh, you should go there and get the pigtail. That's the best thing on the menu is the pigtail.